Stephen Payne is a Washington insider. Starting as an energy consultant and public affairs guru from Houston, he has worked closely with Republican administrations and White House. In that capacity, he developed personal relations with presidents and top decision-makers of the Republican Party and knows the internal dynamics of the Grand Old Party. As lobbyist, Steve has represented various governments in Washington, including Pakistan. First, immediately after 9/11, in the period 2001 to 2004 when General Musharraf was president, and then in 2020 when Imran Khan was Prime Minister and Pakistan, placed in the grey list of Financial Action Task Force, needed help to untangle complex political issues around FATF. Between 2023 and 24, he helped Pakistani American communities with bringing resolutions in the US House of Representatives and forcing Donald Lu to appear before House Foreign Affairs Committee. On 18th of July, on the concluding day of Republican convention in Milwaukee, Donald Trump accepted nomination of Republican Party as its presidential candidate.
So tonight, with faith and devotion, I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States. Thank you.
Trump's speech on the occasion sounded like a victory speech, as if he has already won the elections.
I am running to be president for all of America, not half of America, because there is no victory in winning for half of America.
He also claimed that once in White House, he will end all international crisis from Ukraine to Gaza. Many remember the cordial relations Trump had developed with Imran and note striking similarities in the political profiles of Trump and Imran Khan, and wonder what will be US approach towards Pakistan under Trump. Moeed Pirzada invites Stephen Payne to understand the dynamics of the coming Trump administration.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Moeed Pirzada in Washington. Right now, I'm joined by Steve Payne in Houston. Steve is a prominent energy consultant. He's an insider of the Washington political system. He has worked with more than one Republican administration. He has worked with White House. He has not only worked on the U.S. domestic political scene, but he has also worked on the external front between U.S. and external governments, including Pakistan. On more than one occasion, Steve has represented Pakistan as a lobbyist between 2001 and 2004, again in 2020 under Imran Khan, and again he represented Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf PTI and Pakistani diasporas in 2023 and 2024. So Steve has much to contribute to this discussion, which is going to follow. And as you have also heard about him in the initial intro, which I have I have made for this discussion. But this discussion right now is taking place immediately after Donald Trump, the would-be American president's speech in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And Steve, it's interesting. I mean, very warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining me at a very late hour. And I and you both were glued to the television screens looking at Donald Trump. To me, it sounded almost like a victory speech, the kind of speech you make on 5th or 6th November. I mean, he's already declared himself to be the president.
It did feel like that. It was a bit of a long speech. It's interesting how it started, though, where he went in and recapped his trauma from a few days ago of this assassination attempt. And he told in great detail how he did it and what was in his mind and what he thought before he got up and did the fight. And it was an interesting speech from that perspective. But then he did get into detail as well. He laid out his vision for America.
Yeah, but let's move step by step. First of all, what do you think of his tone and manner? I mean, to me, it sounded as if after this assassination attempt, he has sort of mellowed down. I mean, he has mellowed down in a way in which he's far more confident about himself. He's not bragging and boosting in the same way as he used to do before. He feels like a president at the moment.
I think he feels like somebody that just dodged a bullet, literally. And he's thankful for his life and is looking at things maybe in a different perspective. That's been something that people have been saying all week, that he seems to be sort of a different Donald Trump now. But like you said, though, more mild and kind of toned and measured.
But he also said this: I am going to be president for all America, for all Americans, not for half Americans.
Yeah. You know, normally Republican candidates are talking about business and taxes and things like this. But I think that Trump has expanded the Republican Party to be the party of the workers. I think that the union leadership maybe is still going with the Democrats, but I think the rank and file members of many of the labor unions and others that just work with their hands and just are out there in the field working are going to be going with Trump this year. He's become the sort of the leader for the common man.
What were you expecting him? I mean, because you told me that we will talk after the interview, so you were really glued to the screen and we were exchanging messages in between. What were you, Steve, expecting him to say, and in what way he has surprised you, or he has said something which you were not expecting?
Not so much that I wasn't expecting. The thing is that the situation has become, this is the first time in a long time in American history. I mean, I guess going back to the early 1900s with Teddy Roosevelt, we actually have a president running after he was president. And so you have two records that you can compare and contrast exactly what they did in the White House. And that alone is just, it's so specific, and it's so, it tells the story so well for Trump that all he has to do is say, look at what Biden's doing, look what I did 4 years ago, and that's the end of the story. You know, you see a lot in the U.S. on TikTok and other things, people will go back to their old cart from Walmart and look at it, and it was $88 or whatever in 2020. And then they'll take the exact same cart and rebuy it again, and the price has gone up 2 or 3 times. The price of everything has gone up significantly, not just in the U.S., but everywhere in the world. And the reason for this here in the U.S. is because we have driven the price of energy to an astronomically high level, similar to what Pakistan has. It's the high energy costs in Pakistan is one of the main drivers of the inflation in Pakistan.
But Steve, you've been an energy person. I mean, one of the biggest introduction to you is more than 20 years of work. You're based in Houston. You're part of the Texas, energy circuit. You know energy. In case of Pakistan, it is the imported oil and imported gas that basically makes the electricity and drives the industry. Yep. Why is the energy prices going up? I mean, which you refer to in the United States, and how is Trump going to bring them down, which he promises?
Here, it's simple. We have all the oil and gas that we need. The Biden administration is just making it more difficult. The Biden administration actually canceled 2 permits for LNG export terminals. The people were ready to get under construction. The gas is there. We have almost unlimited gas in West Texas, and the pipelines are there. Everything is in place. But the Biden administration canceled 2 different projects that would have given gas to all of our allies, including Pakistan. They believe in this decarbonization of the world, and this is their priority. And this is what's they say that everything's just going to have to be more expensive as we become more green.
You would remember Trump said at one point that there are trillions of dollars to be spent, and these trillions of dollars are going to be spent under my presidency on roads and bridges and on structures, and not on the green initiatives.
Exactly.
But the environmental America, which is on the coastal towns in Boston, New York Times, Washington Post, The Economist and all, they're going to react very strongly to that statement that no money is going to go to the green initiatives.
Yeah, they will. And, look, if the production of electricity, if you just switch from coal to natural gas, you reduce half of the carbon emissions just by doing that. I'm all for scaling back on coal and increasing natural gas. But, in things like the Paris Accords, COP22 or whatever it's called, The thing is that the U.S. is the only one that's expected to actually do anything to actually reduce the emissions. China is still producing one coal-fired plant every week, and Pakistan is still doing a lot of its power from coal. We put forth during the Khan administration a proposal to bring a electric line across Afghanistan from Turkmenistan into Pakistan. And the price of that electricity, as in my company actually, and the price of that electricity would have been significantly less than what Pakistan is paying right now, and it would have been completely clean.
You are referring to TAPI, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, TAPI.
Yeah, but not the gas line. I'm talking about the electric power line.
Yeah.
The actual electric power line. It's being built right now just to go into
CASA 1000 or something? Is it CASA Central Asia, South Asia, CASA 1000?
This is, it's called the TAP pipeline, not pipeline, but electric line. Yes. It's coming from Mary, Turkmenistan, where the power plant already exists, and it's going to Kandahar.
Right.
That's happening right now. And then they wanted to just keep going from Kandahar to Quetta and finish it off and then give Pakistan a significant amount of cheap, clean energy.
Why do you think it hasn't really taken off? Why it hasn't really seen the end fruit result?
Yeah, because those other plants are being built by China, and there's too much Chinese influence there. And there's Pakistani business people that have already invested their money in these coal plants. But if you want to get serious about the environment, we can do it. We can do it by switching to natural gas coming from America and coming from Iran and coming from Russia and coming from Qatar and other places that have lots of natural gas to spare. So
many Pakistani Americans think that maybe we should lobby Washington to give us some sort of favor on the Iran gas project. Do you think it's possible? Do you think it can work under Trump?
I think that with Trump, that's going to be a non-starter. That Trump definitely has 100% different opinion than Biden does. He wants to bankrupt Iran. Biden wants to work with Iran, and this is the key difference between the two. This is why the Gaza war under Trump will most likely go away, because he will cut off the supply for Hezbollah and for Hamas and the others that are getting their monies from Iran. He'll cut those monies off.
Very interesting. In fact, this is happening at a very interesting time because the new Iranian president, Moeed Pirzada, has already offered to jumpstart the nuclear deal with the U.S. But now I think it's a no-no.
Yeah. They're not going to do anything because the Biden administration isn't going to take anything on new, especially things that they can get heavily criticized for. And, Trump, under the Trump administration, Iran was bankrupt. They were begging. And we were threatening the other countries in the world. If you use Iranian oil and gas, we will punish you. We will put tariffs on you. We will put sanctions on you for using their oil. We were bankrupting them. And we killed Soleimani, one of their leaders. Yeah.
So you understand the Trump administration. You have worked with the past Trump administration. You know so many of those characters. And you know Trump's mind and his behavior. What do you think will be Trump administration's attitude towards Pakistan? What went wrong? I mean, when you were the lobbyist, I think the Trump and Imran Khan government had a good start. What went wrong with the Biden administration?
Yeah. Many years ago, when I represented Pakistan, when President Musharraf was there, President Bush was there, we got a lot of things done. Billions and billions of dollars moved into Pakistan. We got Pakistan the status of major non-NATO ally. This was a great time. And then during the Trump and Khan times, when those two administrations overlapped, it was a good relationship. The two gentlemen already knew each other before either of them were in politics. They knew each other, I think, socially, and they got along quite well. And one of the things that I was asked to do by Imran Khan's government was to fix the FATF issue. FATF was a situation where Pakistan was on the gray list and all Pakistan's banks were on the gray list. And for a common person to understand it, it was really simple. To get a loan in any other country that's not on the gray list, it's about this much paperwork. But if you're on the FATF gray list, it's about this much paperwork. So the only people that were making money off of Pakistan being on the gray list were the lawyers and the accountants for having to do 10 times more due diligence. So it was really, really hurting the economy of Pakistan. And this is something that we were asked to do. The day that we were asked to take on the project, Pakistan had 27 violations against the FATF rules, and we managed to knock them down one by one, getting the U.S. to basically be the leader in getting Pakistan off the gray list. And that was something that we proudly did. It actually happened in the Biden administration, but it happened about 6 weeks into the Biden administration. So all the work was done right up until Biden became president.
I mean, it was amazing work in the sense that it was almost done. The credit goes to the Biden administration or to the post-Imran government, but you guys had actually achieved the results. My question is, what went wrong? You have worked on the interaction of U.S. with Pakistan. What went wrong with the Biden administration on 20th January 2021? Biden would not talk to Imran. Imran was not allowed to call him to congratulate him, despite the fact that Trump and Imran were occasionally speaking to each other. The governments were speaking to each other. What went wrong? What kind of impressions were on the Biden team?
Well, my personal opinion is that was one of the things, is the fact that Trump did get along with Khan quite well. And these other, the other two big parties in Pakistan have invested a lot of money in Washington on lobbyists and building up friendships and things like this. So the People's Party and the Nawaz Sharif Party, they've spent a lot of time and effort in developing those relationships. And it seems that the people that were the key parts of the South Asia group in the State Department were more oriented toward those other political parties. So they just slowly let the relationship shift. And we all know about the Donald Wu cipher and everything, and it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting how that relationship devolved. But I will tell you, it's very interesting, the similarities between Donald Trump and Imran Khan. That both of them are being pursued in court aggressively with dozens of cases against them.
I mean, there's something like 200 cases against Imran Khan.
Yeah,
almost 100 cases against Trump.
Exactly. So many law cases, and now they both share a common unfortunate thing of an assassination attempt. That both of them were attempted to be assassinated by just because they're the opposition party, but in both cases also clearly they're the opposition party that's more popular than the party in power. So it's a very dangerous position for both of these gentlemen to be in.
So, I mean, given the fact that there's so many common grounds, and Trump is someone who likes bold people, and Khan was Khan's boldness attracted him, Khan's difference attracted him. So many of the Pakistan, when you look at Shahbaz Sharif, I mean, he's so obsequious, he's the kind of, a wimp factor. And Donald Trump is never going to be comfortable with a man like Shahbaz Sharif or Asif Ali Zardari. He wants a different kind of people. I mean, look the kind of characterization he does about Biden. I mean, he makes fun of Biden's personality. So, what do you think will happen when Trump will become the president? What would be his attitude towards Imran Khan and Pakistani system?
Well, I think it will improve significantly. I think that, again, the two gentlemen. We're talking about Khan. I think that the Trump administration will put a lot of pressure on the current administration to let him out of jail. As you saw, one of the things that came out in the hearings in March about Pakistan were that the U.S. It was insisted that the U.S. ambassador be allowed to go visit Imran in jail. That hasn't happened yet. It's also also, I think one thing I want to talk about is that America is a divided nation. We have a 435-member Congress, and I think we're down to a 2-seat swing between the two parties. It's 2 seats make up every decision. HR 901 passed just a few weeks ago with 98% of the Congress, and this is the resolution. Yeah, this is the resolution that condemns the Pakistan government for its handling of the elections, in its human rights violations, in turning off the internet on election day, and these things. Congress never agrees on anything anymore. So I think that what we're going to see is pressure from the Congress coming from both sides, aggressively pushing Pakistan in a new direction.
Steve, you have also been working with Pakistani American diaspora for the previous resolution, which was in the Foreign Affairs Subcommittee of the House, right?
Yes.
And since then, you have been involved in the whole process with PakBak and others. You're familiar with that. How come this kind of vote happened, 368 versus 7 in the U.S. House of Representatives? It's very unusual.
Yeah, exactly.
Because how do we explain that?
But that's the thing. If you're advocating for something that's obvious and right, then everybody will get along with it. It's, I think that the Republicans maybe look at it from different perspectives than the Ilhan Omars and the others like that, but they're all on the same team. They may have slightly different reasons why they're on the same team, but they're all on the same team.
But
and I think that this is something that
apparently the Pakistani establishment and the military were so upset that they, what we have understood so far, they have fired and sacked the ambassador Masood Khan literally within 12 hours of that thing, So they're blaming the ambassador for that. Do you think, that was a fair, assessment of the situation?
Pakistan has struggled in Washington for a while now. There used to be a Pakistani caucus of about 70 members, I think, something like this, back in the early 2000s. And then at one point, I'm not sure where it stands right now, but at one point it was down to 7 members, with Sheila Jackson Lee as the chairman of it. So it's the caucus has diminished significantly. The Indian caucus has increased significantly. I think that one thing that Pakistan should be a little bit concerned about is that India is definitely going to have a very clear voice in the White House now because of J.D. Vance's wife is Indian American, from a pretty strong Indian American.
Is she politically active?
Well, she is now, certainly. She is now. She's about to be the second lady of the United States.
She looks brilliant. I've just looked at her profile. She's a lawyer. I think she studied law. From one of the top schools like Yale. She looks brilliant. Face as an index of the mind. She looks very intelligent. But has she any political profile before that? Before now, has she been active in the politics?
I haven't done my research on her, but I think obviously the vice president will have the Indian diaspora whispering in his ear pretty regularly now, but that's okay. We will manage to, the Pakistani diaspora has some pretty strong people that are pretty close to Trump here in the United States. Some of his largest contributors in the United States are good, solid Pakistani diaspora people.
So Steve, I've heard from Pakistani Americans that in the last couple of weeks, the Pakistani establishment is working very hard to woo the Trump team. They're trying to find out that who will be the Trump NSA, who will be the Secretary of Defense, who will be the Secretary of State, who will be the CIA director, who will be the UN ambassador, because the whole team is going to change. What do you think?
Sure.
Who's going to be the team? What are your speculations and thoughts on that?
What I've heard is that Rick Grinnell is a very strong possibility for Secretary of State.
Rick, what?
Remember, Rick Grinnell. He was U.S. ambassador to Germany.
Okay.
And then he became Director of National Intelligence. But I've heard that he is very interested in being Secretary of State.
Interesting.
And, one of the interesting things about him in the Trump administration is that he was from the gay community. And this was a big top appointment in Trump's administration. So it's very possible. And then I think that my friend Mike Pompeo is most likely going to end up as the Secretary of Defense. He's pretty much the only name that's being kicked around there.
But he's a big name.
That's
Pompeo is a big name, so probably things can settle on him. But on Rick Grenell, what you mentioned, the ambassador and to the director of national intelligence, is there only one candidate for the Secretary of State, or are there other options?
I'm sure that there's other possibilities as well, but he's one that's being kicked around a lot.
What other possibilities come to your mind?
Another would be maybe O'Brien, who was the national security advisor under Trump. He's from California.
Is he the NSA after John Bolton?
Yeah, he was national security advisor after Bolton.
Okay,
and then I think General Kellogg might end up as the national security advisor. He was Mike Pence's national security advisor, but he and Trump seem to be interacting a lot these days. So I would think that he might be a likely candidate. I think that Vivek, the presidential candidate, I think he'll end up somewhere.
Vivek will get something. Vivek actually came up very strongly to support Trump, right?
He did. Yeah. So he'll end up with something most likely.
Like what?
We'll just have to see.
So who's going to replace Bill Burns as the director of the CIA? That's a very
don't know. That's one that I haven't heard any names on, but I'm sure we'll start to hear things. So I'm sure now that it seems that the election is sort of headed in a certain direction as far as who's going to win. I think that there'll be a lot of speculation now going forward.
You are familiar with the term Pindi?
Yeah.
Establishment.
Sure.
So Pindi would be very interested in who will be the NSA and who will be the CIA director. These are the two most important positions from their point of view.
Yeah.
So what would you advise the Pakistani American community, given the fact that Pindi is working very hard to reach out to the Trump team, potential Trump team? What will you advise to the Pakistani American community?
Just keep the pace and interact with people on the Trump campaign as much as they can. Certainly, we don't know who is going to be running from the Democrat side. I mean, the speculation here is now running rampant that within the next 5 or 6 days, that Biden is going to announce that he's not going to be seeking the nomination. And
do you think Biden is actually suffering from COVID, or this is the Democratic establishment's excuse to basically get him out?
They say that he is. He certainly had a lot of trouble getting off the plane the other day. I mean, he seemed to be really ill when he came back from Las Vegas the other day. So we'll have to see. But there's an interesting twist in this whole thing. Somebody can't just step in and run. Gavin Newsom theoretically could show up at the convention and run for president, but there's 2 reasons why he won't do it. And this also applies
to... What are those 2 reasons?
Whitmer. This applies to the governor of Michigan and the others that are being speculated as possible presidential candidates. Number one is that even though it's a different horse for the Democrats, it's still defending the same horrible policies that are really destroying the country. I mean, in this country, a lot of the vast majority of the people don't believe that a man should be able to join the girls' swim team and compete against the girls. I mean,
what was the scandal? I mean, everybody, I didn't follow it up. I mean, Trump mentioned it. I mean, men actually, playing woman games. What is that?
No, it's happened in collegiate swimming, that the number 300 male swimmer in the United States decided that he was a girl, and he changed his name and he joined the girls team and he became the number 1 woman swimmer.
Was he transsexual or something?
Yeah, but I don't think he even had an operation. I think he just declared it. And you can do that here in the United States now. You can simply declare that you're a man or a woman or whatever. And it's just not, that's not women's rights. Women's rights is
I heard some doctors I heard some Pakistani doctors, in fact, very upset, about this thing, that children are being given the choice to choose their sex. I mean, girls are opting to become boys because they think that the boys get more love, where there are no real anatomical and hormonal changes in them. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, how is it happening? So do you think that under Trump,
Elon Musk just moved the headquarters of Twitter and SpaceX out of California, specifically to Texas, specifically citing this as an issue. He says that he is completely against this new rule in California that says that parents aren't even allowed to know if their children have changed sex in school. The school isn't even allowed to tell them. And that's the new California regulation. And Elon Musk said, that's it. I'm moving my two companies out of California because it's crazy there.
Do you think Gavin Newsom believes in this kind of nonsense?
Clearly he does, because he's pushing it. But anyway, he can't run and win because he has to defend all the policies of Biden. But the more important and the more brass tacks side of it is that they've raised $250 million, and only Kamala Harris is allowed to spend the money.
Oh.
Only. The money is there. They've raised it. It's in an account. So they either have to give it back to the donors. So they would give it back to the donors and ask the donors maybe to contribute to a different campaign.
So what if Biden nominates Gavin Newsom, then those $250 million will not go to Gavin Newsom campaign?
No, he can't use it.
Why?
That's just the law in the United States. It can only be used by Biden and Harris, period. So what you could do is you could offer to give all the money back to the thousands of individual contributors, and then ask them to send it to the Gavin Newsom campaign. But I think that they would lose a lot of the money because the handwriting is kind of already on the wall. The election is already headed in a certain direction, and Trump is going to be the victor. And these people probably would just like to just pocket their money and wait 4 years. So I think that's what most of them would do.
That makes more sense. So really, you're just sense.
Down to, you're just down just because why throw money into something that's most likely going to be a loser? So you're down to basically Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris is the only person that's on the radar screen of running for president that actually polls worse than Joe Biden.
So she's
the only one.
She stands no chance. So just one or two more questions, So Trump has promised too much. Can Trump be a two-time president now under the U.S. laws and conventions, or he has to be a one-term president?
No, this is it. This would be his 4-year term. So if he were to become president, which it looks like, barring some unusual change of circumstances over the next 3 months, it looks like he'll get it. But from the day he's elected, he will be a one-term president.
Okay, just quickly. He's promised too much. Inflation, prices down, energy, ending the international crisis, ending the Ukraine war, ending every crisis, fixing Iran. Do you think he's going to be a successful president?
I think, I really believe that if you can bring down the energy prices, which we can do that very quickly, simply just by turning on the spigots here in the United States, we can very quickly bring down the price of energy, and that brings down the price of everything. The manufacturing, transportation, everything comes down, and inflation decreases because of energy.
Okay.
So this is something that he definitely can do, and that will help a lot on the inflation side of things.
Okay. The last question. Now, since Trump is set to be the president and the Congress has spoken its mind on the Pakistani politics, what would you advise Pindi boys?
I think that they need to try to figure out a way to work more closely with the United States. There's some congressmen that are even threatening to take away the major non-NATO ally status from Pakistan. That would be very embarrassing to have it and then lose it. But, I offer my help to try to help bring the two sides together. And I hope to do that in a Trump administration to help Pakistan. I very much have enjoyed all my visits to Pakistan and have enjoyed working with the country, worked with the military for a period of time quite successfully. And, maybe we'll have the opportunity to help bring the two sides back together again.
Steve, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure talking to you and looking forward to stay in touch with you.
Thanks, Moeed. See you.